Alright, so today I wanted to talk about my experience with eczema or atopic dermatitis or dyshidrosis. Actually, I should say and dyshidrosis, or however you say that. The condition with the little bubbles on your skin. Um, I've made a couple of videos in the past talking about these conditions, and one of them, the one about dyshidrosis, is my biggest video on this channel by far. Unfortunately, the audio is a little goofy. There's a whole backstory for that. I've considered remastering it, but since that one's doing so well, I don't really want to mess up that one's heat to start over for another one. So anyways, that's besides the point. So to get started, this is what I'm dealing with. It's on my hands only. Well, for the most part. That's the front, that's the back. This one's worse. It's pretty gross looking. Also frustrating, embarrassing, kind of hurts. But yeah, there it is. That's what I have. I also get some crap around my eyes. As you can tell, I'm kind of red. That's just part of this. It was a lot worse a couple days ago. It's actually cleared up a little. Well, actually a lot, I should say, because there's a little bit of flakes going on. Like right there, there's some dry skin flakes, and up here. But it was a lot worse a couple days ago. Always when I'm in the shower, after I clean up, I rub my eyes, and there was so many skin flakes. They were like stabbing my eyes, and it hurt. Actually, that inflection was wrong, I should say. And it hurt. So it's a lot better now. Anyways, so for me, this all kind of started in 2008. It was like February 2008. And it's something I've been dealing with ever since. Actually, when it started in 2008, it was a lot worse. It was like I had leprosy almost. Like this finger right here was always such a huge mess. I could basically go like this and peel off like a whole entire layer of skin. Like it was weird, gross, hurt, and all that. So this, even though it sucks, is a lot better than that. I don't have skin just coming off. I can't rip my skin off. But anyways, as a measure to try to handle it, I've been to my primary physician 5 times, I think. I've gone to a dermatologist 4 times. Actually, I might have been to my primary care 6 times now that I'm thinking about it. But regardless, it's never gotten anywhere too, how do I want to put this? I haven't had too much progress with any kind of results. It's like every time I go, it's best guess or just kind of like basic help. Like they've given me some steroids before that have worked. But I don't feel like that's like a true diagnosis. It's just like, they're like, well, this is pretty powerful. This should help you out. And it does, but it's not getting to well, I can't say root cause, but it's not getting down. You know what I mean? I don't know how to phrase this. It's like some people go and they get a shot and that helps them. And it's like, I feel like I need that kind of like level of understanding. Like when I've gone to the dermatologist, it was always like a guessing game. And I was like, aren't you guys specialists in skin? How do you not understand this? How is this that hard for you? They put me through patch tests. They put me through pills. Just try them, see what happens. Nothing happened. Patch test totally failed. I didn't react to any of the things. That's why I only went 4 times, because they wanted me to go back a 5th time. And during those days, I wasn't making much money, and I was like, I don't have money to keep paying for these pills or whatever medicines you give me, and the co-pays, and the gas to go where I was going, because where I was going wasn't super far. But again, when you're broke and you gotta kind of go out of your way, every drop of gas makes a difference. So that sucked going out there. So that's why I quit. And like it was all experimental. Like they had no idea. How is this that difficult that you can't figure it out? So anyways, oh, that's another thing too. Back in the day, like I said, my skin was much worse. I actually used to have, my dyshidrosis was a lot worse during those days too. Like it was all over my fingers. The things would just pop on their own. And then if you have dyshidrosis, then like the stuff that oozes out is kind of like sticky and it's not fun. And that sucked. I constantly had beat up hands. Hands where the skin would just come off, and they were sticky as F all the time. In more recent times, like probably over the past, I don't know, 5-6 years, my dyshidrosis has been a lot more calmed down. I don't want to jinx anything, but I almost like don't have it anymore. It shows up here and there. Once in a while, I look at my hands and I'm like, oh, look at that. The stupid bubbles are back. But it's not like before. Like before, it was just as regular as this. Like this is all the time. All the time. When my hands look good, this is looking good. this part right here, that's not even that great. Look, there's a little bit of red there. It's all dry, but that's good. That's like as best as my hands typically get. But the dichondrosis, I'm pretty good right now, other than this crap. But anyways, so as I was saying, going to the doctors kind of was a waste of my time. I never got anywhere. So I tried to just figure it out on my own. So one thing that I did was I've tried a lot of different lotions over the years. And basically the cycle of how it goes is it starts out working great, and then after like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, all of a sudden it seems like it stops working. It's like my body gets used to it and starts rejecting it. And I've looked up if that could be a reality, because I was like, that's kind of stupid. How does that even make sense? But it says people with eczema, that can happen. Because at the end of the day, eczema or atopic dermatitis is your body attacking itself. Like, it has nothing to do, there's nothing, you're not sick or anything, so it doesn't have anything to fight internally. So it finds any kind of external stimulus and goes after it. Instead of realizing that it's on the outside, and all you gotta do is wash your hands, it's like, hey, there's something there, we should go handle that. But since it's not inside, it's attacking, it's basically attacking itself. So that's basically what I discovered was, okay, so my weird theory with getting used to the creams is actually true. Because what's happening is when I first start using it, my body's not used to it. And it allows it to work. But then it starts to realize, hey, what is this crap, by the way? And then it's going up and trying to attack it. So when I moisturize, it makes no difference. So anyways, I constantly had to keep changing what kind of cream I was using. Well, then it got to the point where I was running out of options. Every 3-4 months I gotta change my lotion. There's only so many lotions. So then I was like getting low on options. So then I'm like, what the heck am I gonna use now? So there's been a few things over the years that have worked, a lot that haven't. That's another thing too. The lotions back in the day when I was using regular lotion, one thing that always sucked is it burned so much. Sometimes it would burn just right on contact, like, because like a dry, cracked part like that, it would just burn it. And it was so unpleasant to try to moisturize, or else it would be afterwards. It was like rubbing was fine, but then after a while, it was like the friction of rubbing my hands together would catch up, and then it would just sting. And that always sucked too. So I mentioned that because I found a solution that kind of handles all of it. It doesn't burn anymore. It doesn't burn going on, doesn't burn while rubbing, doesn't ever burn. But there is a negative side to it, but I'll get to that in a minute. So anyways, I just want to go over some of the creams and such that I've had that have worked and just talk about them, and also talk about stuff that didn't work. So I have a pile right here, so I'm just gonna grab one and talk about it. All right, so to start, I mentioned how I had a steroid prescribed to me. Kind of low. What is this called? It's called mometasone furoate. Mometasone furoate, whatever the heck, however you say that. This stuff does work pretty great. Typically when I use it, my hands are cleared up in, I don't know, 2 days. I mean, granted, not perfect. It's cleared up like this, but it goes from this to this in like 2 days. The problem with that, why I don't use it all the time, is it makes me feel weird. I don't like how it makes me feel. It almost makes me feel like what they say real steroids can make you feel like roid rage and all that. And again, I thought that was stupid. Like, how does a medicine make you have roid rage? But then I looked it up, and it said that, yeah, you actually can have similar side effects to actual real steroids, whatever you want to call them. So I don't like using it. It makes me very irritable. I'm like always on edge. And it's just constant. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm sitting watching TV and I just feel like, I don't like it. So I try to only use it in like extreme situations. Like, this is bad, but it does get much worse. My hands actually were much worse a few days ago. I wanted to make the video then when they were really bad, but I just didn't have time and stuff. Plus, when my hands hurt, they almost become like paralyzed. Like, I can't move them. Like, I'm stuck like this almost, and like that's my range of motion. Not right now. Right now I can use them almost fairly, and this one's going pretty well. This one, that's my range of motion. I can't really get this folded more. I can't make like a proper fist. I still have too much of a gap. This one though, we're good. It hurts in the middle here to make that full fist, but at least I can get it all the way down. But yeah, when my hands are really bad, it's like they're just like this. That's my range of motion. So I'm like, I don't want to make a video. That's too much work when I really don't have hands. But so as I was saying, I like to save the steroid from when it's really bad. That's typically in winter, because I've noticed winter makes things a lot worse too. My eyes are always way terrible in winter. My hands are terrible in winter. Um, so I like to save the steroid for then, when things are just super bad and it's weeks straight of just being like this, and I want to fix it. But I hate using it. That's why it's a last ditch thing. Um, Now, my next product is something that says it should be good for eczema and such, but it's really not. It's this right here. Triderma Eczema Fast Healing, yada, yada, yada. When I saw this in stores, I thought, oh, cool. Helps relieve itching. I get pretty itchy. Temporarily protects and helps relieve minor skincare irritations due to eczema and rashes. I'm reading this backwards in my camera, so it's a little confusing. But this stuff sucks. Like, it burns like crazy. I'm like, how is this? I don't know if everybody's eczema is like this and stuff burns it too easily, but this burns. Like, I do not use this. I have it. I don't want to waste it. It's still pretty full. It's up to like here. You can almost see it. Well, I can almost see it because of the light. It's pretty full, but this stuff is not good if you have eczema. This sucks. This hurts. This burns like crazy. I do not recommend it. Now, the other thing is I can't really say how good it is, though. It could be good. I don't know. It's just I can't use it because it kills. I put it on and it's just like instant fire on my hands. So I would say I don't recommend it. But I don't know. You know, they got this... Oh, is it the seal? Oh, no. I thought they had the seal of dermatologists on it. I don't know. But it doesn't relieve itching. It doesn't anything. It's terrible. It's miserable. I don't like using it. Next thing would be this. It's MG 217 psoriasis, yada, yada, yada. I don't really know if this is a prescription or not. I actually got this from a friend whose grandmother has psoriasis and stuff. So I don't know if she just had like extra of her prescription or what. Personally, it does say the psoriasis recognized. Anyways, personally, I don't mind this one. This one's a little bit weird, though, because the way it starts is it burns like crazy. The second I put it on my hand, it's like, oh, jeez. And I think about, like, going to the bathroom to wash it off. But as I rub it in, over time, it kind of soothes itself out. So it's almost backwards of, like, regular lotion. Regular lotion started out okay and then burned like crazy. This one burns like crazy, but then gets better. Again, just like the last one I showed, I can't really say if I would recommend it or not, because I never really use it enough to see what kind of results I'll get, only because that initial burn. Like, my hands are miserable as it is all day. I'm not looking to burn them even more when I'm trying to make them better. So I don't use it enough. It's also, this is irrelevant, but it's also like a goofy looking nasty stuff. Ooh, and it also has a really weird smell. I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like gas mixed with mechanics clothing. Like, it's a weird smell. But, yeah, so I don't know if it's good because I don't use it enough because it hurts at first, and I don't like that, especially when my hands are bad. Like right now, I'm not going to put this on here. Now, maybe if both my hands were like this, I might try it. This isn't too bad, but like this, absolutely not. That's gonna kill like a mother effer. So, and this is how I usually am. So, yeah. Now this brings me down to the last two products. They're basically on the same level, but one I much rather prefer over the other one. So I've used this before. CeraVe, I guess. I never knew how to say it. I used to say CeraVe, but I guess it's CeraVe, right? This isn't too bad. It's basically a hey, actually this has the dermatology thing on it, so I mean eczema. So yeah, maybe that is good for eczema people, unlike the last thing I was talking about. Anyways, this is like petroleum jelly, I guess. I don't know. It's clear. This is almost empty. There's practically nothing in it. But as you can see, it's kind of like a clear... It's almost like paste, but more fluid. Like paste is just like this solid crap until you start working it into your fingers. This is decent, though. I haven't used it in a long time. Like, this is actually old, what I have here. Because I used something else. But from what I remember, it didn't burn. It works okay. I think if I recall correctly, the only problem is this started to have, like I said, how my body will get used to it. I think it was starting to get used to this, but before that happened, it wasn't bad. I liked it, but what I've replaced it with is my favorite cream that I use every day, well, every night. I can't use it during the day, and I'll get into that as to why, but it's this Bag Balm. This is something, again, the same friend that introduced me to the MG 217 stuff introduced me to this. Never heard of it before until about maybe 6 years ago. But yeah, it's something I use all the time now. It's this yellowy stuff. Kind of smells a little weird too, just like the MG stuff, not as severe. And when I first started using this, I noticed the scent all the time, but now I'm so used to it, it's nothing. it's it's kind of like how they say technically you see your nose all day, but your brain just chooses to ignore it, and it's like this. The smell's there, but I'm just so used to it. But anyways, this stuff actually does work ridiculously well. I have even recommended it to other people who were telling me about situations that they had with dry skin or their parents had, and they're like, they got back to me a couple days later, and I'm like, oh my God, this stuff works so good. I'm all cleared up, or my mom's all cleared up, or blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it is pretty good. The only issue that I have with it is it's messy. It doesn't rub in. It just creates like a layer on your skin. So, like regular lotion will kind of rub in and then it goes away, so to speak. This doesn't. It just stays, and you can just keep rubbing and rubbing and rubbing and rubbing for hours. Like, usually I moisturize at night before bed, and what I used to do is I would moisturize, rub my hands together until it was rubbed in. Well, I was doing that for years, so that's kind of what I'm used to. That's like my go-to move, if you will. So now when I use this, it's like I just keep rubbing and rubbing and rubbing and rubbing, and I'll be laying there for an hour without realizing that I'm rubbing for an hour, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta stop doing this. It doesn't go in. But despite that, it's great. It doesn't burn at all. No introductory burn, no burn while moisturizing, no nothing. It actually makes my hands feel so much better. Like right now, this kind of hurts, and this kind of hurts too. It's a little dry. It needs some moisture. This just hurts just because, look at it. Obviously, it hurts. And when I put this on, it'll just make it feel so much better. It soothes it. How I was talking about earlier, when my hands are really bad, like my range of motion becomes this. Yeah, once I rub this stuff on, my range of motion goes from this to this. Like, it becomes normal. It's just my hands are super messy. And so that's why I don't use it throughout the day. Now I'm like, if this wasn't so messy and I could just use it throughout the day, my hands would probably be perfect because I could just moisturize all the time. Now, I guess I could wear gloves, but I don't know how I feel about gloves because I've tried this with gloves before. Different kinds. I've tried it with latex gloves. I've tried it with cotton gloves. And I feel like when I have gloves on, it just doesn't work. I feel like when I have cotton gloves on, like the cream just like comes off and then it's on the glove. And then you'd think, okay, well, if it's on the glove and the glove is on your hand, you're still getting moisturized, but it doesn't seem to work that way. And when it's in the glove, it's like then my hand starts sweating, and then I feel like it's almost being counterproductive to the cream, to this cream. Now my sweat is like fighting with this, and it's not moisturizing my hand like it's supposed to. Now I'm getting a layer of sweat on my hand instead of this. So it's kind of like a weird lose-lose. So my only real time to use this is at night. But yeah, works fantastically. Typically I get cleared up quickly. Like this has been for a while, but I wasn't moisturizing. My hands were a little bit better, and I hate moisturizing. When it's time to go to bed, I just want to go to bed. So when my hands are decent, like if both my hands were like this, I probably wouldn't moisturize tonight. But because this one's like this, I have to. But then when I don't moisturize, they fall apart. And then it's just like a cycle. It's like they fall apart, they get super bad, then they start to get better, they're a little bit better. I don't moisturize, they fall apart. But yeah, this usually does help within 2 to 3 days, and it will make a difference. Like I said, my hands were a lot worse. And even though this doesn't look great, this is significantly better than what I had probably 2 days ago. Today is Wednesday. Yeah, so Sunday. My hands on Sunday were a lot worse than this. So, the progress they have is thanks to this stuff. Anyways, overall, it's not even that expensive. Walmart sells it. I think it's $7.99. You can also find it at like CVS and Walgreens. I wouldn't recommend going there because they're almost like double the price. I've done it once because Walmart, for some reason, was totally out of stock. There's multiple Walmarts in my area, and I checked all the Walmarts, and none of them had it. And I was like, seriously right now? What's going on? So I had to go to Walgreens and pay double price, which was annoying. But if you can find it at Walmart, $7.99. It's not bad. It works great. It's just very messy. Minimal smell. I mean, I guess it's very noticeable when you first start using it, but when you get used to it, minimal smell. Um, yeah, this almost seems like it's like an ad for this. I'm not even trying to promote it. I'm just talking about what I use to help myself, to try to help others that are in the same situation as me, or maybe just coming into it like me. You know, this really didn't start until 2008. I was, what, 20? You know, so maybe there's somebody else out there who's 20 and all of a sudden they're having skin problems or something. Maybe even older. Maybe you're 30 and all of a sudden this crap's showing up and you're like, what the heck? What am I supposed to do about this? It's new. Well, another thing I do, I can't say I recommend this because it's probably not the right thing to do. But one thing I've noticed is when my hands are healing, they are viciously itchy. Yeah, it's very uncomfortable. They are itchy like crazy all over the thing, everywhere. They're itchy in between here. Basically everywhere that it's dry and they're healing, it just becomes itchy. Like this part right here this morning was super itchy, which means it was healing. So one thing I've discovered though is hot water will help. When my hands are super itchy, I don't want to scratch them because then I feel like I'm potentially going to like rip open the skin or whatever, you know, make it worse. Then all of a sudden the next day they're falling apart. Where hot water, I burn it and then it feels great. I say burn it because, you know, hot water. And then it feels good. Like, it's weird how it works because at first it's like the hot water comes and then once it hits, there's like this weird feeling of like, I don't know, it comes over you. It starts down at your feet, or for me, it starts at my feet and just comes over my head, and it's like, oh, it feels so good. And then as soon as the itchy part is like relieved by the hot water, then you feel the hot water. It's like, oh, that's hot, ow. And then I put the other hand under there, and then again, it's like, oh, it feels so good. And then, oh, that's hot. But then usually that works. I'm soothed for the rest of the day. Like a lot of times at work, this is what I have to do. I get to work, my hands are itchy like crazy, and I'm like, I ain't dealing with this all day. Go in the bathroom, I mean, the water takes forever to get hot, but then when it finally gets there, put my hands under, ooh, that's better, and then I'm good all day. I don't think I scratch once. However, I said I wouldn't recommend it only because I feel like every time I do this, it makes my hands fall apart. Like, yeah, it feels fantastic in the moment. It relieves that itch for the rest of the day. But then, like, the following day, my hands start to, like, look like this again after they were looking like this. And then I'm like, ugh, shouldn't have done that. Yeah, it felt good. It was relieving, relaxing, whatever word you want to use. But then I got to deal with this for a week. So I wouldn't really recommend it. But if you're in a situation where you're sick of itching and you're tired of the itch, hot water. The other thing I gotta say is the hot water has to be a certain temperature. That's the other tricky part. If it's too hot, it won't work because it's just too hot and it burns you. But if it's not hot enough, it's almost like a tease. Like you can, like my water here in my apartment doesn't get hot enough. When I'm trying to do my hot water relief, I put the water on and it's just enough. It's almost there. I can almost get that head tingle. It's so close, but it's not close enough. It's not hot enough. Let's say the water's 90 degrees, but I need 100. You know, it's just so close. And, yeah, so then it's almost more like a tease. Like, I'm still itchy when I'm done, and I'm like, come on, I'm right there. But again, like I said, like the water at my work takes forever to get hot. And then when it does, it gets hot. And so it's difficult there because I need that happy medium. I need it to get hot, but then I got to figure out where to adjust it so that it's the perfect temperature. So that's another thing. I'm just saying that to keep that in mind, that if you do try to do the hot water for relief, like, you got to find the sweet spot. You can't just expect scalding hot water is going to work because it won't. I mean, it might work for you. It doesn't work for me, though. It just burns and it hurts. You need to find that happy medium where it's the right temperature, and the water is basically itching you for you. And usually it's pretty quick, too. Once you get the hot water going, it's like 5 seconds. For me, it's like 5 seconds per hand. Oh, it feels good. Oh, okay, I'm good. You know, it's not like I'm standing there for an hour and then finally it burns. It's pretty quick. So that's the other thing. It's almost like instant relief. I mean, again, at my job, I got to wait 5.5 minutes for the water to get hot. But if it got hot quickly, it would be like instant relief. Just as a side note, the way I discovered this was my previous job that I had. Well, actually, not even my previous job. When I was working at McDonald's as a side job, for some reason, McDonald's sinks, all of them, bathroom, our back room area, everything, the water was just set to be hot, which I guess makes sense. That way then you can make sure there's proper sterilization and what have you, but it's kind of ridiculous, especially in the bathroom. But anyways, one day I was trying to wash my hands. Of course, the water was hot, but it felt good. And I was like, ooh, until it didn't. You know, at first it felt good, and I was like, oh my god, this is so relaxing. And then it was like, oh, that's hot. How am I supposed to finish rinsing now? So, but that's how I discovered it. From my job having their water temperatures too high. Anyways, that's all I got. I just want to talk about my personal experience, what I deal with, and how I deal with it. And, yeah, maybe this can help someone. Oh, as a side note, also, unfortunately, I don't really know any tricks to deal with the dyshidrosis. Like I said, I used to have it, and I never really did anything with it then. They kind of just always popped, and I just had to deal with it. I just wash my hands a lot to try to clean off the stickiness. As far as knowing what to do, though, I don't know. Like I said, it doesn't really show up anymore, so I don't really have any like tips for dyshidrosis. If you have that, so unfortunately, I almost feel like it would be good if I did have tips, because that's my biggest video. But I don't know how to help you there. But I can help you with like crap like this at least. Anyways, that's all I got. So thanks for checking this out, and hopefully, if you have this condition, I helped you, and until next time, I said see ya.